All the right players are in the room.
Yeah. I know.
All right. Hello, everybody. How's it going? I'm gonna start with this introduction. We're gonna start sharply at 12. Thank you so much for being on time for yourselves. All right. All right, everybody, please bring it in. I'm gonna start his bio. Thank you so much. All right. So first of all, thanks again for showing up on time. Thank you so much to our sponsor, Tano. Tano, really quickly, thank you so much for providing lunch. You have anything to say? Want to thank you?
We don't want to take the time from that.
Yeah. Well, you have a few minutes. Let's start this early.
Yeah, Tano, tell
Well,
us.
I start this early, so you have time to speak, and then.
Well, I'll make it quick, guys. I'm glad I'm here actually, and thank you for, I know Johnny and she actually invited me and make sure I came today. Really quick, I've been seeing some current escrows. I just want to give you a little bit of, I've been trying to save a couple of them. I already saved 2, and I have maybe like 1 or 2 more right now in the process. Just really quick, guys. I want to make sure that everybody knows. Do not let your buyer right now, especially in this market, choose their lender that you have no clue who they are. It's extremely important. Not because of, at least give a lender that you know, or I would call me, the opportunity to match or even beat what they're getting offered, right? The reason why is because in the busy market, when you have 10, 15, 20 transactions, you can lose 1 or 2, it's okay. But when you have only 1 or 2 transactions, if you lose both because of that, that's a problem, right? So be extremely careful and cautious who you work with. I strongly suggest that, and I'll be more than happy to take a look, even if it's the second or third interview with the file. But take advantage of the in-house services you have here, and I'll be more than happy to let you know within a day or 2 if the file is over. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
That's awesome. Well, you're also doing something really cool. You're gonna have a booth at our Halloween event, I heard.
I guess I am.
Yeah. Yeah, well, something, right? So you're gonna be involved. Tom's an amazing person to have because he goes above and beyond for us. Those of you who have worked with Tom, he saves deals, and he's got dry, man. Like, it's gonna happen or it's not gonna happen. He's a man that can get it done. Thank you so much for everything you do from Market Center. You're always there when we have questions on any event. You're there and you provide a lot of lunches that you can feed our people. So thank you so much. Yeah, feed your honey
Thank you,
agents,
Todd.
right? Yeah. Sometimes agents are go, go, go. You guys will meet sometimes, right? So thank you so much. I really am grateful for you. All right, guys. So today we are in the presence of a bad man Jamma. There you go. He is awesome. So, Kadar, you've been a licensed broker for 10 years now?
Yes.
Cool. So licensed broker for 10 years. And then, so basically, he built a successful residential side business, right? That's the path that we tell you guys to do, to build yourselves up in residential once you guys create a business, right? You did pretty well in residential side, right?
Yeah, so about 10 years ago, I got my broker's license, and then I started as most agents, just kind of where do I find business, family, friends, and that's where I got into residential. But after about 2 years of, I was doing okay, I won't say amazing, maybe 5 to 10 deals a year. That's when I got connected more with the commercial realm, dealing with high net worth individuals that were kind of taking their selling businesses, large businesses, and moving that capital into just very large amounts of commercial real estate.
Wow, so that's really impressive still. So you've done anything from retail, office, industrial, and specialties and development projects and multifamily. Tom took that experience and built a local professional team of contractors, property managers, lenders to start acquiring properties for himself and investors in Orange County, LA, San Bernardino, and Riverside counties. So he continues his commercial brokerage business, helping clients and agents complete commercial transactions across all assets in Southern California. How awesome is that? Right? Some of you are sitting that path for yourselves here in this room. Thank you so much. I know these are just some bullet points, and there's so much more to get to know about you. So I look forward to sitting down and becoming a student of yours as well. So thank you so much. Give a round of applause. Yeah. You're taller in person.
Yeah, so that's kind of the quick easy of it. What else can I add on there? So in the last 3 years, I've done a lot more investments myself. So I've collected about 20, 25 units myself. I've also bought a property management company, that does residential commercial multifamily. And we're about to close in a couple of weeks on our second one, so that should put us about 550 doors within San Bernardino Riverside. Actually, I just wrote an offer Friday on our third one in Lake Arrowhead, so we're trying to have another 100 doors there. But yeah, so happy to talk about that too. I mean, it's just in property management. But as far as commercial, I'm just gonna keep it kind of general. Obviously, we have a pretty small group, so if somebody has specific questions about commercial, I'm happy to address those. Usually when I do these classes, somebody has something very specific that they're looking for. But other than that, I mean, you guys are all residential agents. You focus on residential. What I want to do is kind of put more money in your pocket. So however that is, I've got a list of kind of 10 things here that are gonna maybe open your eyes or open your mind a little bit more to maybe looking at a deal differently, or just trying to connect with your residential clients a little bit more to create a commercial deal out of that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Good. So I'll just kind of start going through these. If you guys have any questions, or if you guys just raise your hand or just shout it out, and kind of go from there. So first time you're having a conversation, just a lot of the clients that you guys are currently working with, you're talking to them about their house or their listing. You're always talking to them maybe on a daily basis, weekly basis, whatever it is. If you can kind of steer that conversation, that maybe they mentioned something about work, maybe they're growing a business, starting a business, something like that. That's definitely something that you can kind of tap on and say, hey, look, I heard you want to open a candle store, somewhere in the shopping center. We have a resource for you here in my office for commercial. I'd love to help you find that store or that retail store. Or you have an internet shipping business. Hey, we have a commercial department that would love to help you find that industrial space that you can kind of lease out. So these are all kind of connections you can kind of make just by having conversations. Does that make sense? So number two, so you guys, Sophia just mentioned you guys have KW Commercial, the brand here in the office. So that's something, typically they don't allow you to kind of tag on that KW Commercial brand onto your signature and things unless you're paying an additional fee, but I won't report you if you do. So basically if you can just maybe add it to your signature, or maybe just add it to some bottom lines of, say, hey, happy to work with you on commercial as well, or if you have any commercial questions, reach out to me, or handling, saying something like handling residential, commercial, and leasing or investment needs. These are all things that you can kind of add to your marketing pieces or your signature or whatever you may have to kind of give you some more exposure. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yeah.
You guys are an easy crowd. I might not get any questions.
Stop being shy, y'all. Actually, wait, I have a question. When it comes to them putting it like into their legal footer and signature and what, would it be better for them to put it like under the legal footer where it's KW the Lakes instead of under their name, just if they're not paying that monthly fee?
Well, I mean, the monthly fee is mainly just for having the KW Commercial logo.
Yeah.
So that's fine, as long as no one's gonna yell at KW Commercial if you just say something like, I'm here for your residential, commercial, and leasing needs, or something like that. So if you kind of just add something above the signature, maybe below your name, something.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Sure. So number 3, we've got make it an option to live. So people kind of want to start their investment kind of careers or their goals early on, but they kind of get pushed that off because they buy a house. Now they sunk all their money into their house, right? So what if they can kind of combine those investment and live options? That's what we were just talking about, Gabriel here. Throw the option at them to buy a house with an ADU and then rent the ADU out. Throw an option out to them where they can buy a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex. They live in one of the units and they rent the other units out. They could buy, if they're very early on in their careers and they're just maybe a college kid or they just got out of college, they're buying their first house, buy a little bit bigger house right out the road. That's called house hacking. So, I mean, it's a little bit of a non-conventional way to do it, but, you know, nonetheless, it kind of accelerates that growth. Yeah. Any questions on that? No. Number 4, we got to make an option for work. So kind of what I was mentioning before, you know, if you're having these conversations with these people for industrial or if they have their own business, you know, and they're leasing some sort of business, they have a warehouse where they have internet sales or something like that, and they're leasing that, and maybe they mention, hey, my lease is coming up, can you help me? And maybe have that conversation with them, say, hey, why don't we look for an industrial building for you to buy? It's going to make a lot more sense for you. It's going to make, you know, you're going to make a lot more money. You're going to have equity in the building. The money that your business is paying for rent is now put back in your pocket for owning that warehouse. So that works for warehouses, retail, stores, even an office building, like this one. So number 5. So talking to investors, I'm sure all you guys talk to investors every day, looking for a deal, looking for a flip. You know, so along those lines, it could be for a single family house, could be for a fix and flip, could be an Airbnb out in Big Bear, Lake Arrowhead, something like that. So there's a lot of different people looking for kind of a deal all over the place. I get hit up for these investors all the time. The way I like to really narrow them down is if they can really concretely tell me that I want a deal in this market at this price point, and this, you know, this many beds and baths, this many square footage, this type of value add. Do I need to fix it up? You know, do I have to take it down to the studs, or do I just kind of have to do some painting and yard work? If they can tell me all those things and give me a budget, that's somebody I want to work with. If they can't tell me that and they just say, give me a deal, send me a deal, that's not something I want to work with. Right?
Wasting your time.
They're wasting my time. They're wasting their own time too. But also a good way is, you know, have your preferred lender reach out to them and see if they actually qualify for whatever deal they're looking for. That'll eliminate probably 30 to 50% of them as well. So that's talking to investors. Being a resource, number 6. So I've over the years I've built a network of people all the way from commercial lending, 1031, property management, and anything else that somebody might need for investing in real estate or buying some sort of commercial property. So if somebody in your network is reaching out to you and is asking you, you know, send me somebody, send me a commercial lender, I need this, and you say no, obviously they're going to go to someone else that can help them. But if you can connect them with the right people, then you can definitely start, you know, helping. They're going to trust you to take them down that path, right? So that's kind of my point there. So number 7, kind of what we're doing here today, educate yourself. So just learning more about commercial in general, or, you know, commercials are very wide. It's a very broad topic. So I mean, you can focus on, and that's what most commercial brokers do, to be honest. They focus on one very specific asset class, whether that's industrial, retail, office, multifamily, hospitality. And then even within those, like an office or retail building, some brokers only specialize on leasing, and then within that, they even specialize in just representing landlords or just representing tenants. So you can get very, very specific and granular on whatever you choose. But, you know, it's good to have a general kind of knowledge of everything. But if you see something you like, I'd say focus on that. Or maybe you have some opportunities in that. Maybe you have a network and, you know, maybe doctors or somebody who are looking for new spaces, or maybe you build some connections with, you know, people who have online businesses. Maybe those people are looking for industrial buildings. That's a specialty you can build out, and you can kind of focus on that. That's one of the main things I like to tell the people who are kind of coming up to me and just starting a business, because that's kind of how I grew my businesses. 10 years ago, I basically stepped into real estate. I was like, hey, I like real estate. I like. Then from there, I kind of went, oh, I like people who invest in real estate. And from there, I started helping the, you know, kind of high net worth individuals. And from there, I focused on the groups that I focused on mainly in that group is people who like multifamily. So they looked at buying very large multifamily assets. They focused on, how to help each asset grow through raising the rents, fixing up units, all these kinds of things that I learned along the way. And now somebody approaches me for a multifamily asset, I can be very knowledgeable and just help point them in the right direction for everything. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm talking.
No.
I think one thing I forgot to mention, which is huge, is like you always said goal of business, you guys. Your DCI was 750,000, right, for 2021.
That's just from commercial, doesn't include all his other sources of income.
So that's just from his commercial deals, he made 750K, not including all his other avenues.
He's making millions with me owning KW Custom Mesa, just so you guys know.
Yeah, so this is just from commercial, it's not. Yeah, he's a millionaire, but think about that, which is.
He's very
pretty impressive.
Close to Mason talking. So yeah, anyways, my point was there, yeah.
But anyway, just progressive, we be able to build this up by connecting with the right people and there
Right.
is trust over time.
Right, so, I mean, obviously it helps to be in Orange County, which is a market that kind of lends itself to working with very rich people, so. But I've made myself resourceful into, a very specific group of people and really just connecting the dots, which kind of leads me into my next point here, the off-market deals. So once you've been doing this for a while, people that want to buy something very specific, they focus on something very specific, and eventually you start connecting with owners that are looking to sell something, obviously a specific property. So in commercial, you guys may or may not know this, but a lot of deals happen off the market. In residential, it's obviously most times it gets on the MLS and kind of just finds a buyer there. But and in commercial, especially when you get to the very large assets of 100-unit apartment building or a very large office building, there's a small group of people that actually like to buy these things regularly. So they're connecting with the right brokers or they're connecting directly with the owners of those properties. And just to, off market, so just obviously having those people in their phone book obviously helps a lot, but I have a lot of resources that I've built over the years that find people's information. Like, for example, there's a software called TLO, which I can send to anybody who's interested. They actually make you kind of go through this rigorous process of going to your office, making sure your door closes and your file cabinet closes, and your computer's locked, just so you can have access to this information, just because it's so thorough. So I can look up, any LLC or any property owner, and get every phone number they've ever had or business they've ever owned, and really just kind of find that person, which is a lot of what I do.
We collect some past due child support, spouse support.
The board is looking for people who own the property. That's the hardest thing to find who can sign and you can have a legal contract with, because otherwise it could be considered.
You pay for this monthly?
Yeah, I'd say it's not that much. I think about $100 a month. It's
I wanted just to have it.
yeah,
But they'll come to your office and make sure that you're secure them.
yeah.
My goal is always.
Technically, I'm not even supposed to be really using it to dig up information on people. It's technically a kind of a background check software. But
Yeah, I worked for a private investigator.
Okay.
That was the system.
Okay, perfect.
CLO, so I'm
Yeah.
surprised.
yeah, so I need to be as thorough as a private investigator, kind of finding, somebody owns a building, it's usually an LLC, and then who's the decision maker in the LLC. So things get, sometimes very complicated. Yeah. But there's other tools like, for maybe smaller properties, like I use listsource.com is a good kind of, actually good for residential as well. You get very specific, hey, I want to find single family homes that were bought 15 plus years ago that have at least 3 bedrooms in the lakes. Then they'll build you a full list. From there, you would have to take that list and something called skip tracing, if you guys are familiar with that, and take that list and then find all the phone numbers and emails and things like that of those people. So that's another service I use with various number of companies. One's called that I like, it's called Lead Sherpa, LEADSHERPA. They charge anywhere from 12 to 15 cents per contact. So I build the list on ListSource and then move it over to Lead Sherpa, and then I have a complete list, which my cold callers the team calls on every day.
So what is your current build out right now? If you don't mind me asking. So right now it's just, do you still do residential? Do you have an admin? What does your day-to-day look, or what does your team look like, a structure?
Sure. Yeah, so I probably should have mentioned that. Right now we have a team of about, I think, six people. There's me, I have an executive assistant in the Philippines who kind of handles the day-to-day. And then I've got 2 or 3 cold callers right now, but they're also in the Philippines. ISAs, yeah, exactly. And then they're calling every day 9 to 5. Both of them, they produce about 2 to 3 leads each from the list that we were just talking about. And then I've got 2 main acquisition managers who are handling those leads as they come in, and they call those owners and try and either negotiate. We sometimes would go one of 2 ways: either negotiate a contract, or we actually move to buy the property within our own investment group, or we kind of push it off to maybe a list contract. So either way, it's money that we kind of put together. And then we'll also just one kind of data person who analyzes those properties, and also runs our text campaigns for those same groups.
That's awesome.
That's
So you call the models and you have a lot of the admins. You're admin heavy with your ISA.
I mean, I'm still pretty involved. I'm more involved than I want to be, but yeah, obviously growing to the next level, as you guys all know, the red MREA book, it talks about having that, starting out by yourself and having an assistant, and then having buyer's agents and kind of building from there, right?
So this EA is someone that you've trained up, right? So they start off part-time and on the full-time, or they already calorized, as we call it?
I wouldn't say they're calorized. They're very, they help me on the back end with kind of the tasks that need to be handled within that system I described.
That's awesome.
So they're not, I'm still very much, I write my own offers. I do a lot of kind of the day-to-day stuff, talking with clients and things like that.
Okay.
When you deal with, people that are worth, a little bit of money, then they still want that face to face.
Absolutely.
It's kind of hard to push them off to somebody who doesn't know what they're talking about. So.
Because in the commercial side, they're trusting you and they want to work with you. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's tougher. It's definitely tougher, but it's harder to grow and scale as well. So I mean, you got to deal with kind of balancing that. Where are we now? Let's get to number 9, creating a network. So obviously, just kind of meeting people throughout your day-to-day, going to real estate investment groups. I think are very popular right now, like meetup.com, or just going to local kind of REIAs, as they're called. I think I joined one in Riverside. Just the local Riverside County REIA, Real Estate Investment Club, or Real Estate Investment Association. But you go up on meetup.com and you search just in the area here for investment clubs, and you show up. I mean, you can learn a lot just from the people who are talking, but you can also connect with other investors. And hey, I'm a real estate agent. I live in the area here. I'd love to, what are you looking for? Like if you do that specific list, like, hey, I'm looking for, Airbnbs, and this is my budget. You just found a buyer for yourself, right? So it's a good way to kind of just network, meet people, build your foundation.
Is that how you transition from residential to commercial through the networking piece?
Yeah, so I didn't go to too many meetups, but like I shared before, it was I was doing residential, and then I kind of networked, I guess you could say. It was mainly just me at a bar meeting some people, but connected with a gentleman who sold his company for $100 million and basically needed to buy a lot of commercial real estate to offset his taxes. So I helped him buy some of that, and continue to help him buy in different areas. Yeah. So, you know, you never know who you're gonna meet or, you know, where you're gonna go, as long as you're kind of open and give yourself kind of some room to flex and navigate, then you're gonna meet some interesting people as long as you put yourself out there.
Yeah, talk to everyone around you too.
Is the majority of your business on a non-exclusive basis?
So it kind of changes a bit. I mean, the normal, Tom Kadar group, which is basically just the brokerage side of the business, and that is mainly on the exclusive side. The other side is kind of a wholesaling side, which we can get into pretty deeply as well. Is everyone familiar with wholesaling or? More or less? I see mostly nods, so I won't explain too much. Then that side of the business is less on the exclusive side, but kind of in a purchase contract kind of, so somewhat exclusive, I guess, but not in the listing contract kind of exclusive way. So I find a property, put it under contract, and move it to either our group or to investment group. But yeah, I don't, you know, I wouldn't recommend building a business kind of on the non-exclusive side. It's just very difficult. You're going to be chasing around people all the time, and it's just very time consuming and wastes a lot of time. Anybody else?
Yes, I have a question. So like when you say you put it with your self-investors, you mean that you'll wholesale it out to a group of people?
Yeah, so it could be moved in a number of different ways. You know, I have a very small group, which I need to grow, is of investors that either give me money or I buy with them the property. And then the other major group is just kind of me pushing out to a very long list of investors that I know that like to buy properties, these types of properties. So I push it out to them and they say yes or no, and decide, do I want it for our group? Is it a really good deal? Where do I see the property? Where's the market? Or, you know, maybe investors just, you know, wants to take it off my hands, just willing to pay a good price, and I'll just push it over to them.
See, and so just so you guys know, Tom is my BFF. We have a lot of fun working together. He puts deals together that are just outside of, like, my brain wasn't thinking that large when I met him. Like, I was just thinking, well, we're thinking it, buy, sell homes, something home, you know, maybe commercial deals. But he's over here like, Sophia, I'm making an offer on a 40 key property. I'm a 40 key. Oh, that's the proper term when you buy hotels. You don't say door, you say keys. I was like, oh, I didn't know that. Okay. And then he did that, and he made an offer big, like, so he's moving big amounts of money. And he's a baby. He's in his 30s still, okay? So he's a baby. So he's built a great build a great business. And you've been totally in the business how many years? So
10 years.
So in 10 years, think of where he's at. Buying property management companies. He's not building them, he's buying them and accumulating. So everything's possible, you guys. You just do the work. Very professional, very low key, you know?
Yeah, we're going to talk about that too, the property management companies and trying to leverage out. That's a whole other topic, using seller financing to get into deals right now. The market's obviously changing, rates are going up. So making the sellers still looking for a higher price, and you know, you can't meet them there at that price, but if you can force them to take, well, not force them, but have them agree to taking on some debt, then basically you can get into a property a lot cheaper overall, but both sides seem to win. So, for example, we're looking at a 16 key lodge. It's kind of a small, it's about an acre, but 7-8 properties, about 2 or 3 lodges each in Big Bear. And the owner wants about $3 million. I mean, it might have been worth that maybe 6 months ago, but the market's kind of changed a lot. And then their income and expenses, some mom and pop owned properties. It's not very, you know, organized. So retail, I mean, it's probably somewhere around 2.7, 2.8. But I might agree to buy that property from them for $3 million above market price, because the seller's agreeing to carry the note for about $1 million, $1.5 million, which I can use to pay over 5 or 10 years. Let's say 5 years at a 4% interest rate. Did I lose anyone carry the note is having the seller be the bank. So they're basically loaning me the money, let's say $1 million on $3 million. And I'm paying payments to them of let's say $1 million spread over 5 years. I can amortize it over even 20 years and then have it be a balloon payment at the end of 5 years. And then I can negotiate the interest rate with them. But yeah, it's that seller carry note is not going on my debt. So when I get other loans, that debt is not working against me. You know, and it's I like to make it non-recourse. No recourse, non-recourse is recourse means that the bank can come after me if I don't pay my mortgage payments. Non-recourse means they just go after the property.
So how do you convince the seller?
Well, because I'm giving them their price, I'm giving them a higher price. Overall, I'm actually paying less because if I went to the bank and financed it, they're gonna be taking a lot higher interest rate, different amortization schedule. It's completely different.
But the seller will take second on the note,
Yes,
right?
yes. So
If you were not to pay if you're closed, they're good luck getting the money.
yeah, so on top of that, they're incentivized now to make me win, right? That I'm making the payments to them, I can only make those payments to them if the hotel's doing well. So they're gonna help me, you know, whether it's consulting or just working with me or, you know, they're sending people my way, whatever it is. They're incentivized to help. So it's kind of, this is how I like to structure any type of, you know, commercial asset that I can, but especially the property management companies that I buy. Because this way, it's just like I said, the seller is very incentivized to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Did you have any words that? Yes, sir.
So what type of methods do you use for valuing properties? Do you use a cap rate or return on investment?
It's gonna vary a lot from deal to deal. For that one in particular, I mean, it's gonna be a combination of the gross income of, I'm gonna throw a number of terms at you, ADRs are the average daily rates of each key room of the property. And then minus obviously, that's multiplied by the occupancy. So that, let's say 50 to 60% occupancy throughout the year of rooms being occupied. And then minus the overall expenses of the property, that'll give you my net income. And then I could use that for a cap rate if I wanted to, let's say, for hotels, you want a little bit higher cap rate, because it's a little bit risky. Obviously with COVID, we saw that. So I would probably want something like a 7 or 8 cap for that. But I also look at what are the rooms the key selling for in that area, similar build type and size. So I know that a similar age, 30, 40 year cabin in this area would approximately be $180,000 to $200,000 a key. So I probably want to be in that range or a little bit lower. So it's a combination. If you tell me a different asset class or a different market, I get a different answer. So it just very much depends. For the multifamily, we very much, it's hard to go up cap rate, especially here in these types of, you know, Southern California markets. It's just very difficult. Things just don't make sense. They haven't been selling on cap rates over the last 5 years. But you know, typically, everyone know what a cap rate is. So
Jamie, the one? Cap rate.
cap rate is the is it,
600%. We're recording
the cap rate, the definition or the equation is the net operating income over the sales price. So typically the cap rate is it varies by asset class and market. So if you ask me what a multifamily like a 3-unit or 4-unit apartment building in Laguna Beach costs or what the cap rate is for that particular building, I can tell you that's like a 3 cap or 3.5 cap. So what that means is because I have that particular number in that formula, the cap rate equals the NOI over the sales price. I can now figure out the sales price of that property based off of knowing the cap rate and the net operating income. Did I lose anybody?
Okay.
Can I use these?
Yeah.
If
Oh, the
that,
black-
if
the
that
black
one's
extra
giving
one.
you issues,
I said
yeah.
black
here.
extra one. Oh, no, the green ones, these are for the paper stuff.
Yeah, we use them for the other stuff.
Here, take them off of there.
So. Everyone see that? So NOI over sales price. We got that. So cap rate, let's say Laguna Beach, I've got a threeplex. I don't know how much it's worth, but I know the cap rate in that area is 3%. And I know there's 3 units, each unit is getting about, let's say $5,000 a month of rent, with $15,000 gross in gross income per month. Let's say, just to use round numbers, 50% of that is your net income. So what's so 7,500 times 12, so they do that.
What'd you say?
7,500 times 12.
90.
90,000.
90,000 units. So I know the net operating income is 90,000. So how do I find the sales price? Anyone?
Multiply 0.03.
What multiply what by what?
Divide
My God.
0.03 by 90.
Or multiply 0.3.
Yes, who said that?
Yep.
Right,
You have to
so,
move the 90 over underneath the 0.3.
right,
So you divide 90,000 by 90, like you do a 190 and then move it over and 0.03 divided by 90,000.
yes.
Solve for X.
That-
Yeah.
that's basic
Yeah, so the long version obviously is 0.03 times the selling price, that multiple is the selling price times 0.03 on this side, but we're solving for sales price, so we gotta move the 0.03 back over here, 90,000 divided by 0.03, what does that come to?
90,000.
3 million? Yeah. So there you go, so we got 3 million, it's a three unit in Laguna Beach, and that makes sense, it's about $1 million per unit. So that's how we kind of analyze, this is a quick, dirty, kind of version to really do this quickly. Obviously, you can get a lot more granular with the net operating income, and kind of let's put some more detail on that, but this is a very easy, quick process to analyze any kind of commercial or investment property. It's just important, you have to know what the cap rates are in this particular. So, in the lakes here in a multifamily building, the cap rate could be a little bit higher, like 5 or 6%. An industrial building here in the lakes could be a little lower, it could be 4%. You just have to kind of look at other properties and what they're selling for. You can do that by looking at their sales price and the NOI. So I can find out any after it sells, if I know the NOI of the property, the sales price, I can figure out cap rate. So I do that to 3 properties in the area, the same asset class and age, and I can basically figure out the cap rate for that area. And then as long as it doesn't change, obviously interest rates don't go up and things change, then I can keep using this formula. Any questions?
What did you major in college?
I did mostly got through economics and management.
Use the Irvine. Smart
Back then it was pretty easy to get through.
guy.
I'm not anymore, it's a lot harder. And then I guess I'll just touch on this last one here, getting a partner. So if you guys do need help in commercial or something like that, finding a partner that's done some deals and is familiar with that asset class is obviously very helpful. Partner with those people. Obviously, I'll pass out my cards afterwards if you guys have any questions to me directly. But you can always, if I can't help you, I'm happy to connect you. I've got a good network of commercial agents that can help you in whatever it is. And it's, you know, you can structure a number of different ways if you guys want to work. At least this is how I operate. If you want to send a referral my way, I'm happy to work the deal and just cut you a check, or I'm happy to partner with people too and just kind of work it on it so you can learn as well. Does anybody have any questions or? Straightforward.
Do I have any questions? I know the time will take advantage of having someone so open.
Have you seen the commercial market drop down or maybe cool off a little bit more than before? What do you see?
Yeah. I mean, interest rates have affected us too quite a bit on the multifamily side. I think that's where people buying these larger smaller multifamilies.
What about buildings, offices, owner operators, and those?
So that's fallen off for different reasons. I mean, if you're talking an office building, I mean, COVID's changed a lot of that. So I mean, a lot less people are looking for large office spaces because a lot of people are working from home. So that means smaller, less leasing, less buying larger office spaces. So that's kind of pushed down demand, and also the rates at which these office buildings are leasing for. So that's changed the office market quite a bit. During COVID, industrial shot up because a lot of people were buying stuff online, and Amazon was going crazy buying warehouses everywhere. A lot of online businesses sprouted up, so a lot of these places needed extra space. Industrial really took off. Industrial really did really well. What else? Retail obviously got hit again with COVID. So I mean, a lot less people are going to stores, maybe they're buying online. So these retail stores got hit pretty heavy. So I mean, it's a lot of rates maybe go down a little bit, sales prices go down a little bit. So that's changed the market. Hotels too. Hotels, during COVID they got hit pretty hard, but not a lot of people sold because I think they saw the writing on the wall, or they just didn't want to sell at low prices. But as we moved out of COVID, people really want to get out of their houses, right? People really want to just go outside, and they've been stuck with their kids in a small little house for a long time, so they want to just travel or go to a big bear lot or something. So they basically jumped to COVID rates. Hotel after COVID rates shot up. So I mean, a lot of I went to Palm Springs like during COVID, and the prices were kind of mediocre. I mean, we're just allowed to stay in the room and kind of go to the pool, maybe something like that. After COVID, I remember when the restrictions started to lighten up a little bit, and some of the hotels I went to, they jumped up 25-30% after that. It's crazy. I mean, we can account that to some inflation as well, but I think a lot of people just kind of want to get out and enjoy themselves a little bit.
How many are you interested in becoming catered commercial agents? Like to really do it and like cater. Okay, yeah. So just so you know, the classes start September 8th, which is this week on what day? Thursday? This Thursday. I got my login information. So they have Nucleus, which teaches from 0 to like from day 1, teaches you everything. It's very intense. Like last time I attempted a ticket was during 2020, and I dropped out on class 4 because it was just too much. It was too much work. I couldn't commit to 15-20 hours a week.
It's like a mold for
yeah. It was 8 weeks, and it was like a lot of work, but it's worth it because remember, when you do what other people are not willing to do, you get what other people will not have. So it's just really, 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 really good. I think that what do you think of someone that's doing real estate just going into commercial from the get-go? You think they should do some residential first?
I wouldn't push them one way or another. I mean, I really like to maybe sit down with that person and really understand where they are, what do they have in front of them right now, what advantages, what network do they have, or maybe they have, maybe their husband's a doctor and they have a lot of doctors that they work with. Obviously helps buy higher priced properties, but also, hey, maybe I can create some marketing or touch into that network and basically build my relationships to help these doctors do leases or buying medical office buildings. So that's it's really just very specific in whichever direction you want to go. I would say that just be open. That's kind of how I started a lot of my career. Is just hey. When that guy reached out to me, sold his business for $100 million, he basically reached, we were kind of friends and drinking buddies. So he just kind of reached out and said, hey, I'm looking to buy this retail building. It was, it was a restaurant. It was called the Royal Hawaiian, look at the beach everyone's ever been. And basically just said, reached out like, hey, I'm interested in buying this building, find out everything about it, and set an offer. At that point, I had never written a commercial offer. I've never commercial building.
And your friends is 100 million?
Well, not quite that much. And we bought that for 7.75 million, but that was but you can guess what my answer was to the guy when he asked me, can I do that, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'm hearing that.
I'm on it right now.
Yeah.
You're off in Philly.
Never say no.
Never say no. Bill said, listen to Bill. Bill said, never say no. I'm gonna take that advice with you everywhere. Never say no. Not everywhere.
Yeah. You gotta take that.
So yeah, that's my one piece of advice. If you guys can leave it up, just be open. More questions.
Just
That
go with
was,
the flow, basically.
That was one of the original tiki restaurants in Southern California.
Yeah, that's right. It's been there for a very long time, the 50s or 60s.
Still family owned.
It's changed hands a few times in the last number of years. My client still owns it, but yeah, there was a number of families. Yeah, so they've redone it.
Been there a few times.
Yeah, good spot. Any other questions? Yes.
Someone just asked on the Zoom if they will be able to get your contact to give you a call later to kind of discuss a little more.
Sure, I got a few cards here if anybody wants one.
Okay.
I don't know if we can throw up my info or if you guys, I can share it or.
Yeah, I can definitely send it out to them if you want to just give it to me.
Yeah,
I can send it out to
by
them.
email, if you guys just want to write it down, it's just very easy, tom@tomkadar.com.
It's TOM, not THO.
Yes. Go out at TOMKADAR. So yeah, reach out anytime, happy to brainstorm with you, help you.
Thank you.
anything
I'm
guys
sure
want.
you're Mr. Silk, you're some stuff.
We'll figure out something like that. I primarily do a lot of land.
Land deals, yeah.
So if you have guys that in the city want to come out here and buy dirt, we have lots of dirt.
Lots of dirt around
County.
It has spider and he has, Phil has experience like doing like modulars on land and like development and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm doing a subdivision now. We're doing 48 condos, a mini hotel and a 3-story one.
that's
on a
awesome.
restaurant.
Where is that?
So you go right across the street up there, across the lake on Grand Avenue.
That's awesome, yeah.
And
Yeah,
he does airports too.
Yes, we have a client that's been looking for an airport. We have a hard time finding one.
yeah,
We need one that's 8,000 people.
it's a pretty small airport.
Yeah, they want to use it for training for Lear jets, and they're modifying the Lear jets, Series 7 or something like that, G7s. So they have parachutes now. A lot of the rich boys are afraid that they'll fall asleep or something with the steering wheel, and they want to be able to land safe.
Yeah.
Parachutes with that's interesting.
Yeah, those of you that raise your hand about favorite commercial, come see me after.
Do you repeat the type of questions that you will do for an investor? Like
Type
just to kind of identify if it's a good person to work with.
Right, so, we want to say residential investor or just?
Or in general.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just very specific to what type of asset they're looking at. Say if it's an Airbnb property, you know, what city they're in. It's like Arrowhead and Big Bear. And then what type of properties, how big is it? Do you need a minimum of 800 to, let's say, 1,200 square feet? Then obviously put that criteria. And then it's important to understand how comfortable they are with how much value add are they willing to do? Will they touch a property that needs to be completely torn down to the studs? Because some investors don't want to touch any of that. They're not comfortable with that. Because sometimes you have to pull permits and you have to do a bunch of stuff. So a lot of investors, they just like, hey, I just want something where I can, rip up the floors, paint, change out the kitchen and the bathroom, call it a day. Then you just need to be very clear on, what that property is.
Tom, when you're evaluating the NOI on a commercial building that typically has a percentage lease,
Like
do you ignore sales when calculating the NOI?
I don't do too many of those, we don't really do too many percentage sale leases. That would be difficult to calculate, because obviously you need to get the details of the business itself. But you can look at, typically for these, you want to look at the past 3 years performance, and then you can average it to, last 3 years, and kind of go from that. Obviously, the last 3 years would be difficult because that was COVID, so probably they're not too good on the retail sales. But, obviously you want to try and be as accurate as you can.
Yeah, because the purchasing client may not have the same business model.
Right.
So his sales won't equate to the other sales.
Are you saying the buyer is going to move into the property, or you're saying that?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if it's in, that would, that doesn't change the valuation of the building itself, but it changes the valuation to the buyer, I guess.
It's complicated.
Yeah, that's my answer. It's complicated.
I mean, you're taking a clothing store that's been very successful, now converting it to a restaurant.
Right.
You can't, those numbers don't wash,
Yeah, and that's, we can get into that quite a bit too. I mean, investing in commercial has, I feel like, a lot more opportunity, because you can find these nuances in commercial buildings. Taking a commercial building, adding a lot more value. It was just a clothing store before, but if I turn it into a restaurant, make it, build it out nicely, now I'm gonna get a lot more rent for this type of building. And then on top of that, retail building, there's things called triple net and full service gross and things like that, which passes more of the expenses over to the tenant. So if you can do that, you're increasing this NOI number here, which obviously increases this number, which exponentially increases this number. Does that all make sense?
Sure.
For network events, is there any specific event that you recommend for us to know?
Whatever you guys feel comfortable with. I mean, like I mentioned, meetup.com, and then you can go to anytime you just type in real estate investor, and see what pops up. You'll see, Airbnb investors, you'll see apartment building investors, you might see maybe some commercial property investors. You'll see a wide array of stuff. So whatever you guys, if you have time in the day, and if you just want to grab a drink and they're doing a happy hour, go over, grab a bunch of cards, start to pass them out.
Learn how to golf.
They're not going. I need to.
A lot of them like to golf.
You golf?
I need to. My friends keep bothering me to get into it. So.
Mine's
That's how they answer.
my friend's
Yeah.
slow guy. I'm like, oh, dude.
Yeah, I find it's more of an excuse to go out and just drink in the sun, but.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there some kind of training or a class that you took that benefited you with commercial when you first began?
School of Hard Knocks. It was really just learning by doing, but in the beginning, I partnered a lot with other commercial agents or people that were more knowledgeable about me. So if I hadn't done an industrial deal before, maybe I partnered with an industrial commercial broker who would take you through the process. Of course, I would give them 50% of that deal to understand the deal. But if there's something that I don't understand, I've got a good network now of people who I can reach out to. For specific things, this nucleus program, I haven't done it, but it sounds like
If nothing existed in the market, and Alicia Shepherd developed it, they wrote the course for Rick Cunningham, which was 23 Keller Williams, and he has the #1 commercial, community commercial office in the whole nation. They wrote this course. And they did the first one with like a beta one, that's when I was part of, that was like so intense, I was like, oh, that's 20 hours a week. But like at that point, I was running to markets and do a lot of stuff, it was 2020, and I just couldn't do it, couldn't commit to it. Helen finished it, so then this course is written now, it's now written, and right now when this course used to cost separate and everything. Now, when you're a member of Commercial, it includes your technology, it includes all your resources. You could just do it. So it's definitely the training is phenomenal. It's like it takes you from, it's, the first class was boring to me because I have a basic understanding of how this works. I've done a few, like, examples. But it's very basic. It takes you from basic. Yeah. I watched the first. Yeah. Yeah. So it's, yeah, this is a whole other level. Like,
So you basically gained your knowledge through experience.
Yeah, I did that a lot, just hands-on kind of experience. I'll also throw out, I mean, I've taken a few CCIM courses. So I think that's a good, that's more on the educational side. It's gonna help you understand kind of the transaction or the details and the analysis of each of the properties. Yeah.
It's about $1,500 per class. It's about $1,500 to $2,000 per class, and then when you take a certain amount, you can become certified, right? CCIM.
Right, they do require that you have a certain amount of experience. I think, I don't know if it's at least $5 or $10 million sold, you know.
In commercial.
In commercial, obviously, yeah. And then some other things, but yeah, you have to, it's not just one, so 101 is CCI 101 class alone is 1,500. You have to do 101, 102, 103, 104, 105 to get the designation. Yeah.
It's like 10 or 12 grand.
Yeah. So it's about 10 or 12 grand total, but it's again, it's more on the analysis side. I mean, the nucleus program, it sounds good more because if you want to grow your business, they're talking more about how to find leads, how to build a business. That's more on that side.
Yeah.
So I would probably recommend that more if you want to find, build a business in it, start making money out of it. The analysis and that stuff, I mean, it's important, but if you're not making any money from it, then.
You can't use it.
Right.
It's a lot of money
So
for
start there first.
Right.
Get nucleus first. Then go.
You know what, after, if you're making $700,000, you wouldn't mind writing a check for 12 months, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and education is important. I mean, it's,
When you broke in the beginning, just do nucleus.
You have to start with nucleus first.
Yeah, you have to
You
know.
gotta have some business, otherwise you're throwing your money away.
Criteria.
They won't let you take CCIM and if you have to.
There's another one, SOR.
uh,
They shoot off the CCIM.
yeah, I think that's, they focus more on retail or investment, or what fund stand for. But yeah, that's a, I heard good things.
It's a harder group to get into, I think.
Yeah, more specialized.
It's above the CCIM.
Which side?
Nucleus is the program coverage to get you going. So you get an understanding of how to do the.
Yeah, and then we're
cap
gonna
rates
go
and
there.
lines.
I'm just a fetus right now, just a baby.
Hold it around, y'all.
Let's get your first deal done before you try to get a PhD in real estate.
Yeah. A couple houses.
So, I'm sorry.
Did you plan on getting into commercial real estate, or is this something that?
So in the beginning, it was just, I got my broker's license right off the bat, and I just kind of wanted to, I was, before that, I owned a very small company. We did import export for like, toys and electronics, which I did out of college. The economy took a nice little hit, and then, we sold that off piece by piece in 06, 07. And then from there, I kind of did insurance for a little bit, but real estate always interested me, and more on the investment side. But at that point, I just really needed to make a paycheck. So I got my broker's license, and then I was, had a network because I grew up in Orange County. So I started, doing some, residential deals here and there. But the investment side always interested me more, the analysis and all that kind of stuff. So from there, that's when I got connected to that gentleman who sold his business, and from there, I kind of just leveraged that into focusing on more on commercial. But that's kind of the beauty of KW and KW Commercial. I mean, they let us do a lot of different stuff here. So I mean, we can still do, I still, I have some friends who reach out to me and say they want to sell their $3 million house. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. But I mean, it's just not something I market for very specifically. It's not something I push for, but you know, if I worked at Lee and Associates, Marcus and Milch, at these bigger commercial brokerages houses, they would force me to do one very specific asset class, like they would force me to do multifamily alone. And I don't like that either, because now I can't help, you know, about a couple months ago, I closed them out of an office lease that's been about 12,000 square feet for about 5 years. And those can get, you know, those are $140,000 paychecks. So that's, you know, if I was only focusing on multifamily, I would have to refer that one out. So it lets me do a lot of different types of.
She's on the other side of the deal. See, I just got pissed off.
So it's on the other side. I mean, I push you to focus on one specific type of commercial, because then you'll build a lot more relationships. You'll have a lot more knowledge. You'll just kind of grow that network naturally a lot better. But you know, again, maybe be flexible in the beginning, kind of what excites you, what you like, what you enjoy. Does that make sense? Anybody else?
This is good, this is great information.
Yeah.